evening, everybody. Welcome to Masterworks. My name is Jason Meyer, and tonight we're going to divide our attention between four different artists, very different artists, and we're going to look at their value patterns, light, dark. Each month in our course, we start with a four-value compositional study in charcoal. So we're going to look at works tonight that go along with that theme in the class. So without further ado, I think what we'll do first is why don't we look at some pictures, and that way you can just see these things without me saying too much about them, and then we'll jump over to the Procreate and we'll investigate these light dark patterns and what makes one artist look like they do and another artist look like they do. So hello Shakti, and thank you giving me warning that I'm on camera. That's always a good thing to know. We thought maybe on a black screen that might be a little more interesting. And Miss Susan, so I'm glad both of you are here. I will be doing both of your guys's in the morning on Morning Jumpstart. And Susan, if you have not got my email, I freaking love it. Wait till you see what Susan did to my dog. Oh my gosh. So very funny. Cindy's actually in a mad dash. We used to have electric scooters, and Millie used to ride on the front basket with those goggles on, and we got photos. So with a little luck, we'll have those photos in the morning too. But anywho, why don't we share our screen? There we go. All right, so this will be the first of four artists we look at tonight. And obviously, unfortunately, I wasn't able in time for the broadcast to find which artist this is, but this is obviously an illustrator. But good illustrations are also good art. But it's a different style I wanted to bring in. Okay, so for our second one then, like I said, we're going to go through all of these and then we'll come back. This is a San Francisco-based artist, or at least he recently was, named Jeremy Mann. I'm not sure what's happened in the last few years. Pretty successful. But again, what makes this different than the last one we just looked at? Right? Do you tend towards one or the other? Okay. What else we got? Again, these are all made of just dark light patterns. But what are the possibilities with just light dark patterns? I mean, what could you possibly do with a light dark pattern? I mean, come on. So those are all four works that we're going to look at tonight, and we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive into each of these and the shapes, in particular the value shapes that make them up. So did you guys have a favorite of these four? Is there one you responded to more than the other? Okay. This is a Rembrandt. And then when we get to Procreate, you're going to see I've blocked this white out just so we can get better accuracy of what's happening. So that's number 4. Number 3, quieter, moodier landscape. Number 2, more contemporary. We call this edgier, more modern. number 2. Oops, that went the wrong direction. Let's try this direction. There we go. And then our first one. All right. So Shakti says, Susan, you made some she did make some magic. It'll be fun morning. Hello, Wendy. Welcome, welcome. Susan likes number 4, the Rembrandt. Oh, Rembrandt. Miss Claudia showed up. Hello, Claudia. Welcome, welcome. So what we're doing tonight is we're taking a look at 4 different artists. And we're going to look at their value patterns. So let's jump into the Procreate here and take a deep dive. A deep dive. So the first thing I'm going to do on these is I'll analytically go through them. And we'll just roughly show you what's going on. And then I want to go in and again look carefully at these shapes. 3 or 4 for Tom. Okay, buddy. Okay, good to see you. Glad you could make it. Can everybody see that the light is coming from down here, right? The fireplace is putting off the light. And what happens? It gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer until it's stopped by a dark. Then on the other side of the dark, it goes a little bit lighter. Another little... Do you guys see that pattern? That light dark pattern? So when we've got our charcoal and our vine charcoal, all we can do is dark shapes, right? So let's take a look at this dark shape. Interesting, he got a little bit in here, didn't he? Probably just to show up that light. See our dark shape, then the hand interrupts it. And the bottom of her breasts that are getting light, just like his hand. If it's dark, then it goes gray, right? And then on her chest, you can see the light goes back to the tone of the paper. But our dark goes here and then melts right into him. You guys with me? Dark, look at that's connected to the tie. Connected to the candle. Connected to the dark shadow on the shelf. Did you guys see that as a single dark shape before? Why is this so dramatic? Well, it's so dramatic because there's so much light that's being stopped. Oh, and then it looks like it might get through, but stop. So mysterious. Okay. I hope that makes sense, but these abstract patterns. And then where are we supposed to be focusing? Where are we supposed to be focusing? There's some darks kind of isolated by themselves right here, isn't there? Less on her, more on him. Do you guys see that? So we have this bigger dark working all the way through here. And then we've just got this little bit isolated. So that isolated would be a lot like that dark silhouette of the tree that we're going to use in our landscape, won't it? Do you guys see how they're using those darks in the same manner here? A little bit spotty. Okay. So does everybody see where the tone of the paper is? So the number 2 value. So we looked at number 4. I guess we could go to number 3. What would number 3 be? Since number 3 is air, we'll represent it maybe like that. We'll just a little bit less. But you see, mostly all gray. There's little lights here for this and that, but mostly gray, 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 gray. Then the skin and shadow ends up being that gray. The white shirt ends up being gray. Most of his skin ends up being gray. Gray, gray. I got a little bit of light back there, but overall, gray. So the majority of this canvas is gray, or this piece of paper is gray. With some tone of the paper. Right? Did he even use any highlights? I don't think he even used any highlight. See, and he's pretty selective with the tone of that paper. Do you see our light versus our gray? Our gray is going to be the blue. The light would be the yellow. And then how would our dark fit in here? We'll just overdo that, but put it black. Interesting, huh? Interesting, interesting, interesting. You did it. Don't do it for me, Susan. Do it for yourself. Anyway, you guys have to tune in tomorrow morning to see what we're talking about. Susan did a painting that put a big old smile on my face. Big old smile on my face. All right. You guys see that pattern now? Why do you think that is dynamic? This is pretty dynamic, isn't it? Why is it dynamic? Do you see that? Look at that. Ooh. The light's coming from there, and what are they doing? They're looking out into the mystery. Something's caught their attention. Anywho, so we'll go from an illustrator to a contemporary artist. What's the difference here? So where's the dark here? The dark's much more prevalent, isn't it? There's a little gray in here, but most of this is just dark. Do you see that? Mostly dark. And then what's happening with all that dark? But look, this is the... That didn't hardly show up. This is the lightest light back here. But look how that light crawls through that dark. Right? And what if we included in that dark the that gray? Right? That dark gray. Do you guys see? Hope you guys can see this. Right, the light was back here, and then it on her face. In the background, it crawled down her arm, and then her leg. She had one leg that showed longer, and then there was a little stocking or pillow on this leg, so that wasn't so big. And then went down, and it connected up with that light in the background that hooked around like that. Do you guys see that? So these people aren't working with anything that we're not working with. They've got values, we've got values. So what's the difference between theirs and ours? Why is that light shape interesting? Why is that light shape interesting? Well, see, it's a pretty strong shape right here, isn't it? See how hard edged that is, and then not quite as much here. The fingers are going across this way. So I guess we probably should include all of that, huh? See that little stripe through there? And then this is softer, not so distinct. So you can like it or not like it, but it's strong because, why is it strong? Yeah, there's some little spots of gray, but it's strong because he doesn't have light here, and he doesn't have light here, and he didn't put light on the boot, and you know, it didn't. No, let's go ahead and put that up there. Let's put that up there, and let's put. Do you see as I do this, this just keeps getting weaker and weaker and weaker? Because the movement is being we're distracting from the movement. So it's not about adding details, but it's about orchestrating these shapes. Orchestrating these shapes. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this is great. This is really great. So Claudia says, I don't find it pleasing. It's more jarring to my psyche. Yes. Yes, exactly. And that's kind of the purpose of it. It's a little more edgy and things and contemporary. And when you think about this versus this, how do these compare psychologically? Well, in here, even though these dark shapes are interesting and connected, just like the other one, what's the difference? It's a lot cleaner. Made out into things. We still see a lot more detail. And on top of that, what's the quantity of dark to the quantity of light? Right? This one has a lot more dark and very little light. And what's another reason we find it jarring? We guys are friends. We can talk about this a little bit. But look, well, I don't know. She's probably an adult, but this looks like a young kid to me, basically. A young girl. And where are we looking? This is the sharpest thing in here. There's nothing up there to look at. Right? And so that jarriness is just that kind of darkness. Right? Kind of that personal sexual kind of energy there. And most people do find it jarring. But that's why I wanted to show these next to one another, so that you can see that they're both just working with dark shapes, but the things you can do are just so limitless. Yeah, raw, vulnerable, being seen in a different light, right? Maybe a light you're not quite ready for. I don't know. I mean, we just throw ourselves in here for sure. But anyway, let's move along. How are we doing on time? Woo! This guy's a talker. Okay. And wow. Now, I intentionally kind of put these next to one another. Right? What a kind of roller coaster that. How different is this than the last one we just saw? And why? Right? That's what we need to know, is why. Well, another reason that last one was so uncomfortable was he had the white. Remember, the white was just right at the edge. And then it went right next to those darks. Well, this isn't so much, and look, there's just the tiniest bit of light. Right? Just the tiniest bit of light. But why doesn't, if there's less light on this than there was the last one, why does this not feel as dark? Well, literally, there's not as much dark. Right? And then the dark that is here, and Claudia's right, that tree is awesome. The dark that is here is it big and heavy? Or it's these little bitty springs, right? And then there's just enough grounding. Look, dark on the tree, dark on her. That's why she merges there. Just the darks way underneath. You see that? And then see how the darks lighten up, loosen, go through air. How does that dark release? It doesn't. It's dominant. That's a dark, dominant dark. This dark isn't so dominant, right? This is mostly gray. It's got some light. Almost kind of the light gray there. You know, most of it's in these middle tones. And then the other thing that's so beautiful about this are the tones, the nature of the tones. Look how vague this is. Look how kind of vague that tone is. How even when there's definition, it's a little bit vague. But then, man, we've got some action going on here. And there's nothing vague about that at all. So I want you to remember these when you're drawing yours and you're doing your sketches. And you're thinking, how can I make mine more? How can I get more out of mine? Well, does yours have clarity? And does it have clear vagueness? Right? As long as you have some of both and it's organized well, you're going to do okay. But if you have all clarity and no clear vagueness, or all clear vagueness and no clear clarity, whoops, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. So, let's just follow this dark shape and see where it takes us. Were you guys all seeing this as a dark shape? Do your dark shapes do this? Right? You see the base of this tree? That's a vague dark. That's a specific dark. And the base of that tree goes from vague, then we start getting a little more specific till we get very specific. Does that make sense, guys? I hope so. I hope so. But look, this dark just doesn't stop. It just won't stop. It just keeps going. Are your dark shapes this interesting? If not, why? Why? I try not to ask too much of you, but can you give me an interesting dark shape? And then you guys see, this is a single shape. One single shape. Could we just... Really? Yeah. Okay. Hey. Superstars here. Superstars here. All right. Coming up on 7:30, so you guys ready for one more hill? One more high? Boom. How different is this? So now we're going from light to dark, right? Abruptly, too. What do I mean abruptly? That's what I mean abruptly. Because it's not only that, but it's next to the whitest white. Or in this case, just the pure white. Right, this is more of an etching. But guys, can you see that? And then we investigated this dark shape. Where's it going to take us? Where's it going to take us? Where's it going to take us? I really wish I could touch this thing right. Are we going to transcend anything today? Well, of course. I mean, look at this. What is this about? What do you mean, are we going to transcend anything? If we're not transcending things on this subject matter, I don't think we're going to ever transcend things. Hey, how is that guy showing up? How is he showing up? How is he showing up? Did he sneak just the littlest bit of light so that dark is framed by the light? So that makes it a little bit more. Makes it a little bit more than if that wasn't there. The light-dark pattern is because light-dark is what's visible. Okay? So that... come on. There we go. So that dark runs through here and up. Do you see how it's surrounding him? Now, I'm sure there's story out, but why is this here? Visually, why is all that stuff up there? Do you see how without that stuff for the light to hit, the light is... There's no light. It's heavy. There's a heaviness. What about if we got rid of that too? Okay, who's winning here? Good or evil? Well, I don't know. At this point, it's almost a competition. And what if we don't walk off this dark? What if we just go dark? Right? What if there's no gradation? So I hope what you're seeing here is that in order to have a sense of light, you've got to paint the phenomena of light, the phenomena of glow, of the light getting weaker and weaker as it gets away from its source. And you've got to have a dark to make that light show up. White on white just doesn't read. But do you guys understand that this is nothing but black and white here? And look at that sense of light. Are you kidding me? You guys see all those movements there? And then in between those movements, what do we have? In between those movements, what do we have? What's a good color? What's a good color? Well, we have dark, then we have light, right? Dark, light, going across those movement patterns. And that's why with black and white, this guy. Woof, woof, woof. Yeah, you saw that, right? When we had all that's way too top heavy. Way too top heavy. Look at the little, it looks like headgear to me. Right up here. Right? How much light do we have? Not only how much light, but how much fun is that light? Look at that. Woo! Wee! Right? The guy's going, I'm alive! I'm alive! Not a somber thing. He's excited. At least we hope he is. Oh, who woke me up? Okay, guys. That's all I have for tonight. So again, we looked at 4 different artists. We looked at Rembrandt. And we paid attention to their light-dark patterns and how they affected the look and the feel of the work. Right? And what can we do? How much can you do with your light-dark patterns? And how will you use your light-dark patterns? Uh-oh, somebody left squigglies on these two. There we go. All right, everybody. Let's see, how about a do-si-do? We'll get rid of these guys. Thank you for joining me. Great possibilities. Yes, yes, all right. You are welcome. All right, everybody. So we'll have morning jump start in the morning. We got Susan up on deck and Shakti up on deck. Susan's got a portrait of Millie that you'll have to definitely see. And Shakti's got the still life, and she's got some mood going on already. So some good stuff. There may be time for 1 or 2 more if somebody else wants to try to slide one in tonight. If not, we'll pick up on Wednesday. And also catch us at Sketch Club tomorrow night at 7 on Facebook. As always, thank you so much. Hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody.